If you've ever stepped into a pub in Bavaria, you've probably heard it. That sharp, satisfying slap of cards hitting a wooden table. Well, that sound, that's the heartbeat of Schafkopf, a game that's so much more than just a way to pass the time. And today, we're going to break down exactly how to play Bavaria's most beloved card game.
And this is really the most important thing to get right from the start. This isn't just about winning a few hands of cards. We're talking about a social ritual, a piece of living, breathing history, and for a lot of people, it's a huge part of their identity.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll dive into why it's so important culturally. Then, we'll try to solve the mystery of its very strange name. After that, it's all about the mechanics, the cards, the points, the goal. We'll break down the main way to play, the Rufspiel, and then we'll look at the high-stakes solo games.
So first things first, let's really set the scene here. Why is this game so deeply woven into the fabric of everyday Bavarian life? Well, think of it like a language that's spoken without any words. It's a way for old friends and even total strangers to connect across a table. You know, in our age of constant digital distraction, Schafkopf is this fiercely protected tradition that demands your focus, some real skill, and yeah, a little bit of bluffing. Getting this game is like getting a key to a very important, very authentic part of the local culture.
All right, we have to talk about the name, Schafkopf. It literally translates to sheep's head, which is kind of weird, right? So where on earth did that come from?
And the honest-to-goodness truth is, nobody knows for sure. The origin story is a little murky, but there are a couple of really great theories that have been passed down for generations. Okay, so theory number one is that players used to keep score on a little slate with chalk. They draw 9 lines, and when the game was over, the finished score kind of looked like a little stick figure sheep's head. The second theory, which is just as popular, is that the game was often played on the top or the head of barrels. In an older German dialect, a barrel was called a Schaff. So playing on a Schafkopf just sort of morphed into the name of the game itself. And the history of the game itself is pretty fascinating. The first time it ever shows up in writing is in 1782, in a legal document of all places. And this was huge because it classified Schafkopf as a game of skill, not a game of chance, which meant it was legal to play for money. But it wasn't until the 1840s that it started to look like the game we know today, with the first mention of Bavarian rules popping up in 1849. And then, the game changer, 1895, when the Schafkopf booklet came out and helped standardize the rules for everyone. Okay, history lesson over. Now let's get into the real nuts and bolts of how you actually play this thing. And to start, you're going to need the right tools.
First off, Schafkopf is played with a 32-card German deck, so forget spades and clubs. Here, the suits are acorns, grass, hearts, and bells. And instead of jacks and queens, you've got the Ober and the Unter, and these cards are absolutely critical. Even the ace gets a special name, the Sau, which means sow or a female pig.
Scoring in Schafkopf is also pretty unique. Not every card is actually worth points. These points are called Augen, which literally means eyes. The Sau, or the ace, is the big one, worth 11 points. Then the 10 is worth 10. The king, Ober, and Unter are worth 4, 3, and 2 points, respectively. And the 9s, 8s, and 7s, they're worth 0 points. They're just there to help you win tricks.
So this is the crucial point, the magic number. There are 120 total points in the entire deck. The goal for the team that's playing is to win tricks that have a combined total of at least 61 points. It's simple as that. You get to 61, you win the hand.
All right, now that we've got the basics down, let's talk about the most common way Schafkopf is played, the Rufspiel, which means the calling game. This is a partner game, 2 players against the other 2. But before we can get into that, we have to talk about trump cards. Just think of these as the game's superheroes. A trump card can be any card from any other non-trump suit. It's that powerful. And in a standard Rufspiel, there is a permanent set of 14 trump cards, and you have got to know what they are. This hierarchy is everything. At the very top of the food chain are the 4 Obers, ranked from acorns to grass to hearts to bells. Right below them are the 4 Unters in that exact same suit order. And finally, all of the leftover heart cards are also trump, ranked from the ace all the way down to the 7. Memorize these. This is your army of 14 trumps. Now, this is maybe the most beautiful, elegant part of the entire game. So you look at your hand, it's pretty good, and you decide you want to play. You declare, Ich spiele, which means I'll play. Then you have to call for a partner by naming an ace of a non-trump suit.
that's acorns, grass, or bells, that you don't have in your own hand. Whoever has that card is now your secret partner. And the beauty of it is, nobody else at the table knows who it is until that card actually gets played. But what if your hand is so good that you don't even need a partner? Well, that's when you go for all the glory and play a solo game. This is where one player decides to take on the other three, all by themselves. And the difference is massive. A Rufspiel is 2-on-2, secret partners, and hearts are always the trump suit. But in a solo, it's you against the world, 1 versus 3. The huge advantage you get for taking on that risk is that you get to declare any suit you want as the trump for that round, which can be incredibly powerful. And for players who want even more chaos, there's the Wensi. This is another type of solo game, but it completely flips the rules. In a Wensi, the only trump cards are the 4 unters. That's it. The obers and all the hearts go back to being normal cards in their suits. It's a wild, high-risk, high-reward game that can lead to some big wins. Okay, so let's walk through how a trick is actually won. Let's say player 1 leads with the king of acorns. Player 2 has to follow suit, and they play the ace of acorns. Right now, player 2 is winning the trick because their ace is higher. But watch this. Player 3 doesn't have any acorns, so they're allowed to play a trump card. They play the 7 of hearts, a really low trump, but that timed trump card beats the powerful ace of acorns. Player 4 also doesn't have acorns, so they play a bell, which can't win. So player 3 wins the entire trick, all because they played the only trump. And honestly, we've only just scratched the surface. The real beauty of Schafkopf is how deep the strategy goes. Once you get these fundamentals down, you'll discover all these other rules for winning by a huge margin, ways to double the stakes mid-game, and literally dozens of regional variations that just make the game endlessly fresh and replayable. It really makes you think, doesn't it? In our world of smartphones and endless digital noise, what is it about this centuries-old game, a game that was once played on the top of barrels, that gives it such incredible staying power? Maybe it's the face-to-face connection, the mental challenge, or just the simple joy of sitting with 3 other people and sharing something real. That right there is the magic of Schafkopf.